Hi, my name's Isaac, and this is a 2019 Ford F-150 STX. And today, I'm going to show you guys why the F-150 is still the reigning champion of the full-size pickup trucks. Now, if I had to create an analogy comparing the Ford pickup truck lineup to another franchise, which I know I don't need to, but I had an idea and I thought it would be fun, I'd have to compare it to Star Wars. Let me explain. So, you have A New Hope, groundbreaking. A lot of people would say that it did a lot for its industry, very fun, kind of a great movie. And then they kind of remade it, did a soft reboot, if you will, a few years later, and it retained a lot of the same things, but it also brought in a lot of new stuff. And, you know, it remains to be seen if the new one kind of lives up to the legacy of the original. And then you have Empire Strikes Back, right here. Arguably the most talked about, definitely the most loved, the most well-regarded all around. A lot of people would say it's revolutionary. It did so much for its franchise. You know, this does crazy things, obviously #1 seller. And then lastly, you have Return of the Jedi, which arguably has to do the most heavy lifting and heavy towing of the franchise, figuratively and literally, I guess, it's a truck. And you know, it gets a lot of things right. A lot of people love it. In my eyes, it's a perfect film. It can do no wrong. But, you know, some people don't like it. But that's kind of my analogy in comparison to the Star Wars franchise. Tell me what you think in the comments. I think that's a pretty apt comparison. We're going to leave the prequels out. The prequels are like Chevys or something. You know, never mind. I'm not even going to go there. I'm never going to be able to review a Chevy ever again. I got one Chevy, that's it. They will never let me touch another Chevy. All right, let me get into this review. I am so excited to do this STX, as you can hear by the peppiness in my voice, especially in this abyss gray color. It looks fantastic. I really like it. It's almost kind of like my cement gray Tacoma, but I actually like this one a little bit more. It's a little bit deeper shade. And so what this STX is it's an appearance package for the XL trim. So it's a base model truck with the appearance package. I'll show you what you get with the STX. It's really cool. Obviously, you get these really eye-catching huge wheels on here, but and this nice grille, but we'll get all to that. So let's get into this video. Before we begin, I want to give a huge thanks to Koch 33 Ford for allowing me to review this truck. For all your Ford needs, you can visit Koch 33 in person right off of Route 33 in Easton, Pennsylvania, or at Koch33Ford.com. Starting out up front, it is not all too often that you get a sweet-looking exterior color like this abyss gray, especially paired with the STX appearance package. One thing you get on it is this giant open slot grille. I really like it on this STX. You can get it on another trim, but most of the trims you're gonna see have bars across the grille here. I think this open design just looks a lot more eye-catching. I think it's really cool. You have your Ford logo here, you have your tow hooks down here, and then you're gonna have halogen headlights, turn signals, high beams, and fog lights. You can opt for LEDs on the higher trims, but since this is an XL with an updated appearance, it does just have the halogens. Underneath the hood of this particular F-150, it's powered by a 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6 that makes 325 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. That equates fuel economy-wise to about 19 in the city and 24 on the highway. Moving on to the profile of the truck, the first thing I want to compliment Ford on is the stance of this truck. I think it's fantastic. I love the boxy shape. I think it has the perfect amount of lift. Even with the running boards, it's an aggressive looking truck. I really like it. Right here you have your F-150 badge with the STX trim denoted down here. Any trim you'll have will denote down here, whether it's a Lariat, an XLT, an XL. You do have a traditional antenna. Kind of disappointing to see in 2019. I would have figured everybody would go by shark fins now, but I guess since it is a carryover of the base, we can cut them a little bit of slack there. You're going to have black plastic mirror caps, black plastic door handles. This particular one does have running boards on it, and then you have these absolutely awesome and gorgeous 20-inch machine finished wheels on this guy. This is another big thing on the STX appearance package. The base XL, you're going to usually get just a regular steel wheel, or you might be able to get an option for a little bit flashier one, but they are nowhere near. They're probably about 16, 17 inches. They are not the gorgeous 20s on this one. These make this truck stand out. Now, obviously, you can get them on the higher trims, but it really allows for this truck to look like a higher trim if you're kind of working with a budget on the truck. I'd get this truck. I can't wait to show you the interior features and stuff. This one is really cool. Lastly, over on the side here, it does say STX 4x4. That is a sticker they have on the side. Really like how Ford still sticks to having the graphics on the back. A couple other pickup trucks do that as well. I really like the cool design of that. And then you have your exhaust tailpipe. So let's move to the back. Moving on to the back of the truck, F-150 is stamped into the aluminum here. I've mentioned in the past how I like that. You have your EcoBoost badge, your Ford badge. You have your tailgate handle here with integrated backup camera. That one does also have guiding lines in it. Not a lot of the lower end trim trucks that I've driven have the moving lines when you're backing into a parking spot. So that's really cool to see on this. Moving down here, you have all your trailering stuff. You have a spot for a key. A key goes here. Does something. I don't know. Moving down here, you do have your tow hitch. This truck does have a towing capacity of up to 9,000 pounds on this particular trim and a payload capacity of 2,470 in this case. Moving even lower than that, this truck has something near and dear to my heart. Body color matched bumpers. Hey Toyota, maybe take a little bit, maybe take a page out of Ford's book, if Ford has a book. Toyota, if you're watching, the CEO of Toyota, are you watching this? Because maybe do that on your trucks, on your base model trucks, because this is a base model truck and it does it. Maybe just maybe spitballing it out there. Maybe you could do body colors, just in the future. Body color bumpers. You're coming out with a new Tundra. Maybe do that. I don't know. Moving into the bed. I hadn't tried it yet. I was wondering if it did. No dampened tailgate on the STX. Wow, I'm keeping this in the video. This is staying in the video. So there is obviously an option for a dampened tailgate on the F-150 in the higher trims. One thing I did say is I was disappointed in the Ranger that there's no option for a dampened tailgate on that, at least in its current model year. But I could forgive this since it is a lower end trim. Also, this is aluminum, so it is much easier to lift back up, but no dampened. This particular one does have a spray-in bed liner. Very nice. This is I believe a 5.5-foot bed. A lot of space in here. You can option a longer bed with a shorter cab. That crazy thing with the F-150s that I absolutely love is there is so many options. You could go in with your buddy, both buy F-150 STXs and still get different option packages and all this. It's just great because it really allows for a variety of customization to make your truck you. And I think that is so admirable. And I think that's why Ford's really been successful the last few years, is because they know people want individuality and they want to be able to customize stuff. And so they give you so many options on their trucks to allow you to be able to do that. Alrighty, I'm premiering a new segment on the channel here right now, right here. It's the driver's side grab handle test. And by driver's side grab handle test, I mean, does it have a driver's side grab handle? Yes, it passed the test. Moving forward, I'm going to do this test on every single one of the vehicles I review, and then I'm going to throw an infographic up on the screen that compares and contrasts which vehicles do and don't have driver's side grab handles for you guys. If you're asking yourself, Isaac, why are you doing this? Why do you care so much? I don't know. In all honesty, I don't know why I care so much. Let's move on. Moving on to the actual interior of the truck, one cool thing you'll get on this STX trim that you wouldn't get on the XL is the large 8-inch infotainment Sync 3 system from Ford. Really cool to see that they included it on this one. Really gives this truck a more updated and upper scale look, even though it's a lower trim. Like I mentioned previously in my Ranger review, Sync 3 is really fantastic, and I like it a little bit more on this one because it's more of a squared off, rugged truck look. I wasn't a huge fan of how the Ranger kind of curved the screen up. It seemed like a little bit of a reach to me. You have your traction control button, your hazards, and your auto engine start stop. Below the screen, you have your dials and your controls for it. One thing I really like is that they use these huge volume and tuning buttons, as well as big air conditioning buttons as well, because they anticipate you're using the truck for work and you might have gloves on, so they really make the buttons really big. Next to that, you have your 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low for your 4-wheel drive on this truck. And then across from that, you have a 12-volt power outlet, and then you have your AC controls below that. Tons and tons and tons of storage in this truck. Fantastic. I really like it because you have this little storage space down here, 2 USB ports for charging down there and plugging your phone in. You have this really nice little tray that kind of pushes back in, so it's really cool to see that. That is really fun. 2 more trays right here, a tray right here and 2 cup holders rather. And then you have a massive storage bin in here, just not too dissimilar to the Toyota Tundra I recently reviewed. So that has a lot of storage space in there. Lastly, I want to touch on the materials and the textures kind of in the truck. This center armrest is very nice. It kind of uses like a leatherette material. That's pretty comfortable. The door also mirrors that down here, though the top part is hard touch. Kind of wish Ford would do a soft touch up here. I'm sure in the higher trims you do get that, but you know, you do have your nice armrest. As I mentioned, every truck guy, yeah, you know, they always drive like this. The mirror, in reality, the reason this curves down is so you have more access to the mirror. You can see it, there's no blocking the mirror. There's a little blind spot mirror inside the larger mirror, so that's cool to see. Hard touch on the top here, hard touch down here. There's a little storage tray here. You know, it's kind of just expected to have hard touch on this lower end trim. The higher end ones, you can get much nicer materials in there, but it does have some nice amenities and some cool features like the screen, the larger wheels, the different grille and stuff. So it's pretty cool on this guy. You do have your safety sense up here with the safety features. That's all incorporated in there. There's a little camera. Dome light up here, I think that's interesting. It's only a singular dome light. Now it is an LED, so I'm sure it is brighter at nighttime, but I think it's kind of funny how it's just a singular dome light. Lastly, the last thing I want to touch on before we move to the back is this truck uses a column shifter, and I think we can universally agree column shifters are the coolest shifters, because so many vehicles use like either a button or a shift knob, like a dial now. If we're in an action movie or in just a desperate situation, we jump in, we go, quick, we need to book it. And you go, all right, neutral, drive. Okay, let's go. Compared to, we need to book it. Let's go. Okay, I think we can all unanimously agree. Column shifter, coolest shifter. Let's move to the back. You do have climate vents in the back, cup holders here, 12-volt outlet and USB charging ports. Very nice for Ford to include that. Lots of legroom. These full-size trucks are insane. They're almost like limousine levels of legroom. Grab handles here in the back. And then your back window, you do not have a sliding window on the STX package, but it is heated, so they will melt the snow. Something I noticed on my truck, I don't have a rear heated window on my Tacoma, not an option. So it's really convenient for Ford to include that. Seats are equally as comfortable back here, about the same quality of textures and such. You do have little storage pockets back here. And then last thing I want to show you guys is the load floor is completely flat, so you can fold both these seats up and get yourself a completely flat load floor. Some other vehicles do this, some other vehicles in the segment do this, but it is just so cool to see. The doors don't come out fully at a 90-degree angle, but you do get a lot of space. You can load a lot of things in here. You can take a little nap down here. It is really cool just to have this, because not a lot of vehicles do. Most of the time you'll have a little hump down here with maybe some storage inside, but it's not going to be as large of a space as this. So let's take it for a drive. All right, we are taking the F-150 out to drive. You know, initially when I drove this, I have a buddy that has one, and I drove it just briefly. You know, I initially was like, wow, this feels ginormous. I don't want to drive a truck like this, especially in the city. And when I got to drive this, I was like, wow, because I drove another one of these recently, and I was like, this is crazy because this doesn't feel that large. It is such a comfortable ride. Ford has nailed this 10-speed automatic, especially on this F-150. I liked how it drove in the Ranger, but I really think this 2.3 V6 is fantastic. That's nuts. So as I mentioned in a lot of previous videos, a lot of these trucks are incorporating an auto start stop on the engine, so when you come to a red light, it completely just turns off, and then when you kick back in, it goes. What floors me with this is The Jeep Gladiator I did, you could tell a tiny bit. You could hear the engine shut off a little bit, and you could feel it a little bit. Little tiny jolt, just like you would when you're turning off an engine. The Ranger, you could feel it a little bit more. Not a ton, but you could feel the engine shut off, and it kind of made a sound. With this, you don't feel anything. Like, it says engine off, and I felt a little dip, and I went, oh my goodness, it is off, because I couldn't hear. Actually, I didn't feel like that. I just couldn't hear the engine anymore. And it shuts off just like that, and it comes back on just like that. Really cool to see on the F-150. This drives well. This is one of the smoothest driving vehicles. Here's the thing that I love about this, and I think this is another reason, another factor in why this truck is so well regarded and so well loved by a lot of people. It is smooth. It's a smooth ride, but it still feels like you're in a truck. You still get that grumble of the engine. The interior still feels trucky, and it's rugged. It's so hard to explain because it's very smooth, but it doesn't shift like a car. It still kind of shifts like a truck would. Ford just implemented that fantastically. It's just so good, and that's just so neat. It's just so neat to see that. So I think that's going to conclude my thoughts and opinions on the driving experience of this F-150. So that was a little tour of the 2019 Ford F-150 STX. Overall, I have to say this is a great truck. I definitely see why it's the #1 selling in America, and the F-Series has done so well worldwide. I just think it's fantastic how they offer you this option of just so much customization in so many different levels and tiers of the truck. I think it's pretty cool. So if you're looking for an F-150, a Ranger, or an F-250, feel free to visit Koch 33 right in Easton, Pennsylvania off of Route 33, or you can visit their website at koch33.com. Thanks for the support, everybody. It would be amazing if you could subscribe, like the video. That would be awesome. And remember, no matter what truck you have, I'll pray it lasts you a long time and that it serves you well. Take care.